Welcome to joining this webinar. So this is part of the overall Bentley Have Your Back initiative. So the common theme for all these series of the webinars is trying to help users working from home. If you miss any sessions, don't worry about it. So go to the landing page. You will see, first of all, you can see the presentation slides within the landing page. And also you can if you want to watch the recording, you can follow us on YouTube and Facebook, so you can watch all the recording accordingly. So this is the topics. Please stay tuned. So today we're going to focus on how to configure ProjectWise Explorer um, so you can work from home. And we're going to carry on next week and the week after. In the middle, we're going to stop at Good Friday and Easter Monday. So we resume on April 14th. So please stay tuned. As I said, so we're going to post all the recordings in Facebook and YouTube. So if you miss anything, you can always come back to this. While I'm presenting, you can type in your questions in the chat window. My colleagues, Martin, Dave, and Teresa, they're going to help out to address your questions along the way. After my presentation, I will open the line to all attendees. So you can speak out if you have any questions. Feel free to ask any questions related to whether to today's session or maybe not related to this session. Feel free to ask whatever question. As I said, the common thing, the key driver for all these series of the webinar is to help you work from home. All right, before I go into any details on how to set up ProjectWise Explorer to work from home, I want to double check on whether ProjectWise Explorer is the right tool for you. My colleague Dave Sheeran already talked about how to choose the right tool or ProjectWise client to suit your needs. I just want to very quickly revisit this, especially if you are using ProjectWise Explorer. There will be two scenarios specifically useful for you. One would be you're using CAD applications. You could be running AutoCAD or MacStation, and you need to manage the reference files. If you're a MacStation user, maybe you need to use the managed workspace environment. In that case, there's no other choices. You better use ProjectWise Explorer. The other one is really depends on whether you are consuming our deliverable management service. If that's the case, and also you want to create and issue transmittals with ProjectWise documents, in that case, you need ProjectWise Explorer. That would be your best tool to do that. To extend a little bit about that, if your main task would be working on Office document, could be the Office engineering documents like a Word file, Excel spreadsheet. In that case, it's not necessary to use this desktop client. You could consume ProjectWise Web Connection Service. In that case, purely using web browser, you can still accomplish get your job done without installing all these desktop tools. All right, overall, I think it's quite straightforward to set up ProjectWise Explorer on your could be a brand new machine or your personal PC. So obviously it's a desktop client, so you need to install the software. So we're going to go into a little bit of details on how to choose the right version and how can you make sure you get the license properly. The secondly, it really depends on your own situation. But we're going to talk about whether or not you need a ProjectWise gateway service. So I will elaborate a little bit more into two scenarios: is whether on-prem environment or is Bentley hosted environment. And the last is straightforward. Uh, so now you have the ProjectWise Explorer installed, and you already figure out either on-prem, you have your gateway service, or it's hosted by Bentley, you already have the gateway service Bentley hosted for your organizations. Now it's just a matter of to configure ProjectWise network settings and pointing to the right gateway service or whatever server. Um, so you can run your ProjectWise Explorer to access ProjectWise data. So the first step to install the right version of the ProjectWise client, if you do not have the Bentley MS account, I would suggest it's the best timing to register Bentley MS account. So you can click on this link. Again, as I said, we're going to post all the presentation slides within the landing page. From that PDF file, you can still access all these links. So when you click on this link, you will be able to register the Bentley MS account. To do that, really two benefits. One is to simplify your license retrieve. So it will simplify the license process. Traditionally, if you're using Slack server, so your organization will distribute the site activation key. It's a very long piece of number up there, so it's hard to manage. By giving the MS account and in conjunction with a connection client, so by logging into the connection client with your MS account, you will get the normal license without knowing all these, hard remember license key. So really, that's the first benefit. If you have MS account with a connection client, it will simplify your license retrieve process. The second part, it depends on your data source configurations. A lot of organizations already enabled so-called federated authentication. In that case, once you log into the connection client, you can single sign on into your ProjectWise data source. Again, it depends on the situation. Again, let me just recap very quickly. If you do not have this MS account, please register this. A, it will simplify the license, and B, if your data source already enabled a single sign-on for the federated identity, you will be able to single sign-on into your data source. The second part is really to find the right version of the ProjectWise Explorer to be compatible with your organization's ProjectWise server. So if you click on this link, you will get into this compatibility matrix. So that will be the first page you are going to see. If you go to the fourth page of this compatibility matrix, essentially on the top, you can see the ProjectWise Explorer version. And on the bottom, you can see the ProjectWise server version. If you're not sure about your ProjectWise server version, you can always contact your ProjectWise admin in your organization. So they should be able to tell you which version your organization is currently running. So for example, if I click on this guy, so this is the ProjectWise Explorer version. So I can see it's compatible with all these server versions. And if I click on this guy, more showing up. So essentially by clicking on all these client version, you can double check the compatible server versions here. The other thing, so that's the first consideration, given your organization's integration server version, you can find out what would be the compatible client version. So that's one consideration. The second consideration is really goes on what the major application you are currently running. So whenever you choose any ProjectWise versions, when you choose any CAD application versions, you can also see the compatible ProjectWise Explorer version here. So really, I would suggest you do this. So first, starting from the fourth page, you know your ProjectWise server version in your organization and find out what would be the compatible versions of the client. And then if you have the list of the compatible ProjectWise Explorer versions, and then moving backwards to the third page, and then you know what the CAD applications you are running, and then from that you can shortlist, uh, the exact, the best compatible ProjectWise Explorer version, given those two considerations. So again, we're talking about this is the compatibility matrix. So to be honest, I think it may be not that straightforward. Hopefully, by going through this, you have a better understanding on how to use ProjectWise client-server compatibility matrix. So the last one, so now you have your IMS account, you know which version of ProjectWise Explorer you should run. So now it's just a matter of to download the client software. Again, click on this link, you will be able to, if you have the permissions, you will be able to download the Bentley software. Again, within your organization, typically your ProjectWise admin will have the permission to download all the Bentley software. If you do not have that permission, you can always contact your ProjectWise admin, so they should be able to download that for you. Once you have all the client software, it's just a matter of to install the client software. Typically, this connection client will be part of the ProjectWise Explorer. So you don't have to download separately. It should be part of the ProjectWise Explorer installation file. So I just want to talk a little bit one more about the connection client. Once you run connection client, that's what you're going to see. So as you can see, I'm logging in with my Bentley MS account. So it's very important once you install your connection client, so just log in with your Bentley MS account. To register the Bentley MS account is free, so you can click on the link, you should be able to register yourself. I believe during this process, you need to specify which organization you belong to. So it's strongly recommended you always using your company email to register your Bentley MS account. So once you install the connection client, just log in with your MS account. In that case, from here, you will be able to retrieve your license properly. All right, that's the step one. It's just a matter of you need to run ProjectWise Explorer. You need to install properly. All right, step two, ProjectWise Gateway Service. A lot of users asking us, do I need a ProjectWise Gateway Service? It really depends. If it's hosted by Bentley, the answer is easy. You ask Bentley, what's the ProjectWise Gateway Service for my organization? So we're going to provide you, here's the server address, and then you can start from there. So if it's on-prem, and now there are two scenarios. If your organization provides the VPN, which is the virtual private network, so given the VPN, even you work from home, it's still equivalent you're working from the office, because the VPN is a virtual private network. So you establish a tunnel from the office to your organization network. So it really doesn't matter where you are. Given the VPN, you are always equivalent to be working from the office. In that case, you do not need a gateway service. So you just continue using whatever settings as you normally have at the office. if your organization do not have any VPN, in that case, yes, you do need to deploy the ProjectWise gateway service. Again, um, if you're not 100% sure, I would recommend you talk to your ProjectWise admin in your organization and find out whether it's a hosted environment or your ProjectWise environment sitting on premises. And maybe you can talk to your IT guys to find out whether your company has the VPN or not. But worst case scenario is on-prem, no VPNs. In that case, you need to deploy the ProjectWise Gateway service. You can click on this link. It will take you to the Bentley help file. So that will be a starting point. So it's not that hard. Um, but again, you can go through all these documentation to figure out exactly how you're going to do that. So really for this step 2 is really I just want to very clearly give you the picture on, how to tell, do I need the ProjectWise Gateway service? I truly believe a picture is more than 1,000 words. This is just want to show you what a typical ProjectWise server diagram looks like and where is ProjectWise Gateway service. So imagining is an on-prem ProjectWise deployment. So this within the main office, you will have a bunch of the ProjectWise servers, and you don't want to compromise any security about your company network. In that case, you do not want people to directly access from outside of your company network into your ProjectWise server directly. In that case, what you typically do, you set up a DMZ environment, and between your company network and the DMZ, you will deploy a firewall. And on the firewall, you can configure, which port will be open. So in that case, it will block any communication on all the other ports. So in this particular case, what we're saying would be, if you deploy the ProjectWise Gateway service here, so if you work from home and you install your ProjectWise Explorer on your machine, so in that case, all the communication between your personal PC will go into your gateway service first. And then the gateway service will relay the traffic into the ProjectWise servers. So doing this way, you as the ProjectWise user working from outside of your company network, never directly facing your ProjectWise servers on your company network. So in that case, you never expose any vulnerability in terms of the network security. So that's the whole idea why we need a ProjectWise Gateway service. The other part I want to highlight is for the gateway service, it has two network cards. One is facing to the public, the other one facing to the internal network. So in this case, you always communicating to the gateway service, and then gateway service will go through the firewall to access your ProjectWise data securely. So that's the whole idea about the gateway service. Hopefully, given this picture, you have a better understanding on what a gateway service is and how it works. All right, so let's move on to the final step. Let's very quickly recap on what we just talked about. Let's say you already installed ProjectWise Explorer on your machine, and you already figure out the ProjectWise gateway service. It's either on-prem or it's hosted. You already get all the information. So now it's just a matter of to configure ProjectWise network settings. So it's a pretty straightforward process, but I would say a few tricks and tips. So I would encourage you to always coming from the network control panel. And then if you click on network and internet, so you can always click on the ProjectWise network. And it is highly recommended using run as the admin. So there are really two tabs we need to configure. One is called the data source listing. So this data source listing determines what data source will be visible for you by running ProjectWise Explorer. So again, there are really two scenarios here. So if it's hosted, and then you can contact Bentley, they will tell you exactly what the data source listing you should pointing to, and what the DNS services you should be pointing to. So again, if it's hosted, it's relatively simpler. So contact Bentley will give you all the information you need to do. If it's on-prem, again, there are two scenarios. If your company with VPN, and then you can always refer back to, what exactly you're setting up for the workstation you're running in the office. So you don't have to ask anyone. Just go back to your workstation in the office, figure out what exactly you pointed to. You just copy whatever setting from there. So if it's the other scenario, there's no VPN. So in that case, you need to point into your company's ProjectWise Gateway service. So it's a pretty straightforward. So the name really doesn't that matter. So it could be whatever name you want to go. But the host name, you need to contact your ProjectWise admin and your IT guys. They will give you a specific ProjectWise Gateway service they deploy. So the host name matters. This name could be anything. You can just give it a nickname, and this host name must be very accurate. Once you tap this in, you can just click on Add button. It will add this entry into the data source listing. Again, this data source listing settings determines what the data sources you will be able to see. Once you can see the data source, and then you still need to configure the DNS services. So this entry, the DNS services entry, determines whether or not you can copy out or check out a document from ProjectWise data source and into your workstation or your PC. So this part, again, follow exactly the same rules. If it's hosted, talk to Bentley. If it's on-prem and with VPN, that's still easy. You just copy the same settings as the office settings. If not, you also need to point to the ProjectWise Gateway service. I've been dealing with some of the clients. The common issue they're talking about is they only setting up the data source listing so they can see the data source, so they can log in, but they cannot do anything about it. So whenever they're trying to work on certain document, they basically say, hey, I cannot copy out or check out that document. In that case, chances are you didn't set up the DNS services tab. Okay, before I wrap it up, I just want to very quickly come back here. So just to recap, all we need to do to set up your personal PC so you can work from home by running ProjectWise Explorer, three-step process. So first, you need to install the right version of the client. And secondly, you need to figure out the ProjectWise Gateway service. It's either on-prem or it's hosted, and also on-prem there are two scenarios. You need to talk your own IT guys or ProjectWise admin to find out the details. What's your ProjectWise Gateway service? If it's not required, so you can just very easily copy whatever settings you normally do in Office. And then lastly, to configure ProjectWise network settings. Again, if you're not 100% sure, I would suggest you talk to your ProjectWise admin in your organization first. If they cannot resolve So talk to us at Bentley. We're going to help you out. So given that, I'm going to open the lines so you can feel free to ask whatever questions.